My request of God has been, Lord, show me your mysteries that I don't understand yet. Meaning that all of that already exists and I'm only just now coming into understanding of it. Okay, so I had an epiphany the other day with God. Forgiveness is the key to deliverance. And deliverance, we get delivered from enslavement. From mental, emotional, and spiritual enslavement, and even physical enslavement. I know that forgiveness is the key to deliverance because in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, when God chose to forgive us, and when he created a solution for us to be forgiven and be back in right standing with him, both of those times we were delivered from slavery, from enslavement. When he delivered the Israelites out of Egypt, he said, you know what? Return to me and I will return to you. I have forgiven you for this. I have heard you. I have heard your cries. I have seen the mistreatment upon you, and I will uphold my covenant with you. Being that all of the human beings now, we are inherently hurt because we were deceived from the beginning. We are inherently hurt by our own actions and by the actions of others inflicted upon us. Being that we are inherently hurt, we struggle greatly to forgive not only ourselves but others. We possess since then an atom, ATOM, of rebelliousness that says, I can do things my way. Again, that mindset is a byproduct of the deceit that happened when the laws of time and space were broken. We think I can do things my way. I will be okay. I feel this way. I think this way, and I know what's best for me. And realistically, it's just not true, because a connection with our Maker, it brings, there's so much wisdom, there's so much insight, there's so much intellect, there's so much spirituality, there's so much mindfulness, there's so much transformation and progression available in that connection with our Maker that we cannot fabricate. We cannot duplicate, we cannot create on our own. Those things have to be done with our Maker, with a being higher than ourselves. Those things must be done with that individual. And so when I'm talking about forgiveness being the key to deliverance, I have to look at the fact that at the time that the first human beings were disobedient and were then deceived, there was a level of forgiveness for them that was not there for that angelic being that intentionally was disobedient and intentionally was deceitful. When I consider God and the Israelites, his people in Egypt, when they were held in physical, actual slavery, and they had been for hundreds of years, and they had been placed in that position because they continued to be disobedient. Again, when you look at the full picture, that was not punishment, that was not sentencing to death, that was refinement and grace in ways that we don't understand, because this Maker that is so much larger than us behaves and acts in ways that we don't understand. We think grace looks one way when realistically it doesn't. If you watch my video about love instead, I'm telling you, God pulling me out of where I was in my life and, challenging me to let go of everything, ultimately taking it all away. That was the most gracious thing God could have ever done for me, because that took me to just to new heights, to new levels, to deeper and higher at the same time. Humbling, crashing, building back up. Like, it was the most gracious thing God could have done for me, to allow me, to encourage me to go through what really would be and what was the worst season of my life up until this point in my 30 years. Grace looks so much different to us than it really does to the Maker, because we don't possess the amount of foresight necessary to fully understand grace now as it will look in the future. But the point of what I'm saying is, whenever the Israelites were in Egypt, because they had disobeyed, because they were inherently hurt from the time that time began, God said, you know what? The covenants that I made with you then to repair our relationship way, way back, the covenants that I made with you then to keep us in connection, I'm going to keep my promise, because I am a faithful God, because I am a God of my word, because I am a maker where all things begin and end with me. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I do not break my promises. What I say, I mean, and what I mean, I say. And I never condemned you. I never condemned you to be apart from me. I will deliver you out of slavery. I will do so by forgiving you again. And so then in my other video about forgiveness, when I told about the man who was racist, and we had confronted that together, and he was to confront that with God, when I said we have to get used to going through this refinement process, this forgiveness thing with God again and again and again and again. That was probably obnoxious for me to give all those agains, but it's really that way. God, again and again and again and again, he is forgiving us again and again and again. He is setting us in position for deliverance. And I know that him forgiving them is what freed them from slavery. He said, Lord, please. This is awful. This is miserable. We hate that we're here. We regret being here. We wish that we were dead. We believe that we're really no good for anybody. These people, these Egyptians, they are holding us in slavery. They are ruining our lives. Lord, please deliver us. Crying out. And God says, I hear you. I hear you. I know you. You are my people. I do remember my covenant with you. I forgive you. These are the instructions I'm giving you now to enter into deliverance with me. Follow that. You got it. We're good to go. It's not like follow it or die. It's like, no. God is the maker of the universe, the most intellectual, highest being there is. And again, I understand there's a lot of controversy with Christianity. I want to say right now too, the maker of the universe made these covenants with the people of Israel, which would ultimately be his people, the people that know him, that choose him, and that he chose. He did not make those covenants with the church. I just have to say that. I just have to say that for all the people that could be watching these videos and think I will never choose Christianity because of the way the church is. I want to affirm with you, God chose the people of Israel. God chose his people. He did not make these covenants with the church. He made these covenants with the people that know him and follow him. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't go, but I'm saying don't let the behaviors of the church influence the way that you view the maker of the universe for yourself, because that is the gravest mistake you will ever make in your life. By allowing the actions and behaviors and opinions of another person to influence yours. Why would you do that? That's their mind, their life. This is your mind, your life. Your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your views, your study, or lack thereof, that's all your responsibility. I digress. The third time, and not the final, and really not even, so many times God was exercising grace throughout these texts. Another time that God then delivered us from emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical enslavement by forgiveness was when he sent Jesus to the cross to quite literally obliterate, to tear apart, to remove this inherent hurtness from us. This inherent rebelliousness from us. This inherent pridefulness from us. That is the third time at minimum. It's probably the 3,000th, but I didn't go through and count every single time when God forgave between the Israelites and Jesus. I probably could and would find many. But the third time deliverance was like handed or administered to the people of God was when the ultimate reparation for the consequence of disobedience and deception was delivered as a godly human or a humanly godly being was crucified to accept the consequence on themselves. Like, listen, forgiveness is the key to deliverance. What are we being delivered from? Mental, emotional, spiritual enslavement. And so then that makes me question, number one, what is enslavement? I have so many things written down here that indicate an enslaved mindset and an enslaved spirit. And and I'll go over those in another video. Right now I want to talk about why we struggle. If forgiveness is the key to being released from enslavement, I think we need to discuss why it's so hard for us to forgive, not only ourselves but others as well. Okay, first and foremost, I think in order, like if we were to begin forgiving ourselves, it would also lend to the necessity of forgiving other people. And I think sometimes we're not really ready to do that because we are so hurt, because we are so inherently hurt, because we grip that hurt so closely to us and we do not let it go. If I forgive me, then I have to forgive you, and I don't want to forgive you. Why do I not want to forgive you? Because sometimes I enjoy sitting in my own dirty diaper because it's familiar and I know it. But we have to recognize that at that point in time, as we reject forgiveness for ourselves and for others, we reject the maker of the universe as a refuge for us. And that is, I think that is the best way that we can view him, as a refuge, because there are always going to be things that we as human beings don't know and we don't understand. Because when we're talking about forgiveness, there's in any situation where hurt has occurred, where scandal or betrayal, anything has occurred, like there's not really anybody to blame. There's really not. And I know that that sounds insane, because there are some times that people do things intentionally, but I think we would be wise to recognize that even when someone did something intentionally, they do not understand really the weight or the depth or the impact, the true impact that their actions are having, not only on them, on other people, but on themselves as well. I understand what Jesus meant when he said they know not what they do. It wasn't just that he was asking God to forgive the people that were crucifying because they didn't know he was the Messiah. He wasn't just asking God to forgive them for that. He was asking God to forgive them for the fact that they truly at that time did not possess the enough wisdom or insight or understanding to really fully comprehend the weight of their actions. They didn't know what they didn't know. There's nobody to blame for that. They were responding off what they knew at that time. And what they knew at that time was based on what had happened in their past, what they had experienced in the past. They didn't know what they were doing because they had never had this experience in this moment yet, and then learned from the consequences of those future actions that would actually really then put them in the position of further understanding what it is that they did, of further understanding the impact of what they did. They had not experienced the consequence of that choice yet as they made it at this point in time. Thus they did not understand what they were actually doing, again, because they had not experienced the consequences of that decision. Again, everything is a learning lesson, so I really don't view anything now in terms of bad or good. I used to, but I don't really view things that way now because I just don't believe bad or good. I'm not sure that it's really helpful to view things in that perspective, from the human perspective, because again, like, we are ultimately spiritual beings living in a 3D human world, and I'm not, being that we are spiritual soulful beings, I don't believe that our spirit, our souls, like they're really on this journey necessarily to believe, to operate in good or bad. Although I do believe we are meant to operate in, we do operate ultimately then in either belief or disbelief. As we reject forgiveness for ourselves and others, we reject God's refuge for us. Forgiving myself would mean I have to forgive others too. And realistically, me, a human being that is inherently hurt since the near beginning of time, I can't even begin the process of forgiveness by myself, which is why / how rejecting forgiveness for ourselves is a rejection of God as our refuge. I need to involve him in that process because it's truly next level transformation that requires forgiveness, is truly next level transformation, soulful transformation that requires a supernatural and divine insight and wisdom beyond me. Keep listening. True forgiveness requires surrender. Personally, I think the patriarchal system within which we live in America today has made surrender hard for both men and women to do, because vulnerability has either become so stifled or so exploited due to the holdings of such extreme black and white gender holdings and expectations. Just saying. Okay. We're not willing to lay down our life in surrender because we're scared God really would find fault in us and then reject us for all time. But I think that's proof enough to show we must get to understanding God's ways better, because he did not come to bring peace but a sword. And what does that really mean? I'm pulling that from Matthew 10. What does that really mean whenever he says, I did not come to bring peace, but I came to bring a sword to you? That means he's here to sever the chains, to cut the chains between belief and disbelief. He's here to break the connection from you that binds you to disbelief. That is why I say forgiveness is the key to deliverance. When I forgive truly, I go to God and I surrender to him as my refuge, because I cannot begin the process of forgiveness by myself as a human being. I don't know how. I don't understand that. I need somebody to guide me through that. I need somebody to guide me through how can I forgive myself. I need somebody to guide me through how can I forgive that person for the hurt that they made me feel, on top of the hurt that I was already carrying. I need help to do that. When I surrender fully, I'm able to forgive. As I forgive, I am delivered. Jesus's goal was not to sever ties from me or you. His goal was to sever the tie between me and you and disbelief in him. His goal was to set a gap between liberation and enslavement, that you would be able to walk in liberation, in deliverance, rather than being tied to enslavement for the rest of your existence. Jesus came to slice the connection between human beings and mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical enslavement. And I think when things are still happening in our lives, when we're still experiencing inner turmoil, when we're still experiencing financial distress, confusion, heartbreak, heartache, when we still have this malice and resentment inside of us at that point, I think we often think that means God has rejected me, because the mindset of he has fixed me once before and I broke again comes rushing in, meaning that, I'm still carrying all this stuff. I've surrendered once before, but here it is back again. God must have rejected me. These bad things are happening in my life. God must have rejected me. No matter how much I pray, no matter how much I cry, we have to remember the Israelites were in slavery for, I don't know, hundreds of years, 40 years, 70 years. I'm not sure. I need to look that up. But we think because we still feel all these things that we consider bad. We think because we still experience all these things that are considered bad, that God has rejected us. When we think that God has rejected us, we start to blame other people for how we feel and how we've responded. We start to blame ourselves. We think, wow, he fixed me once before and I broke again. This is my fault. At that point, when we do that, when we begin to blame ourselves and others for the things that are happening in our life, what we fail to realize is that those things that are happening are actually opportunities and moments for refinement and expansion. Again, we are rejecting God as our refuge in order for refinement and expansion to really occur. In that moment, when we're feeling all of these things, and we think, when we're having all these things are happening, when we're making all these mistakes, when we're doing all these things and all these crazy things are happening around us, we think, God, why have you rejected me? We fail to realize that all of those feelings, all of those thoughts are moments and opportunities for deeper trust, refinement, deeper relationship, expansion, surrender. These are not moments where God is looking to cut you off. These are moments where God is looking to cut you from the ties of enslavement. He's asking you to go deeper with him and really begin to learn and understand what's actually going on, because everything is spiritual. He's encouraging you to cut ties with unbelief and pursue a wisdom, a deeper wisdom, a higher wisdom beyond yourself, to really understand what actually is going on and why is it actually happening, as you seek his wisdom on the matter. And listen, as you seek, what do I do? How do I address it? We struggle to forgive because we reject his grace. Again, because grace doesn't really look at all like we expect it to look like. We perish for our lack of knowledge. Forgetting that we serve a God that says, I will reveal mysteries to you, and when you seek me with all of your heart, you will find me. We forget these things. We forget that it's not his goal to cut us off. We forget that it is his goal to refine us and correct us and discipline us and expand us. And free us from the inherent hurt that is mental, emotional, and spiritual enslavement that we have experienced since the beginning of time, since the deceit. There's a place in Psalm 7 that says, Lord, let me read it to you. O Lord, my God, in you I take refuge. Save and rescue me from all those who pursue me, so that my enemy will not tear me like a lion, dragging me away while there is no one to rescue me. Listen to this part. O Lord, my God, if I have done this, if there is injustice in my hands, if I have done evil to him who was at peace with me, or without cause robbed him who was my enemy, let the enemy pursue me and overtake me, and let him trample my life to the ground and lay my honor in the dust. I think we're scared. I think a lot of times we are really scared to surrender to God to that level, because we are scared he will find an iniquity within us, and we're scared he will find unrepentance or wickedness within us. We're not willing to lay down our life in such a way, in such surrender, because we're scared God really would find fault in us and then reject us for all time. But I think that that's proof enough to show we must get to understanding God's ways better. Again, he did not come to cut us off. He came to cut us from enslavement. To not be willing to surrender indicates an unwillingness to pick up your cross and endure whatever may come with. But I know you don't actually have a desire to not follow him through whatever may come, because I know you know and believe that he's good. Sometimes maybe you just believe he's too good for you, but you have to remember his goal is to sever ties between you and your unbelief, not to sever ties with you. He stands as your refuge. He stands as your place of refuge. He says often, come to me. Return to me. Tell it to me. Repent it to me. Acknowledge it before me. Be honest with me. I know you. I made you. I know you. I know you. I know everything about you. I love you. I adore you. But tell me, communicate with me. I don't want to cut you off. I want to be with you. We're scared to reveal our hearts truly. We're scared to reveal our hearts, to truly surrender, because we're concerned God will find wickedness within us and cut us off. And realistically, He will. He already knows it's there. He knew it would be there from the beginning. He knows when it's about to come, when it hasn't come yet, but will come eventually. But because His sword, He knows all of this. He's not here to cut you off. But again, His sword is the only one that can sever wickedness from us, that can sever unbelief from us, that can sever fear, doubt, confusion, and hurt, because His sword is the only one that can truly liberate us from enslavement as we accept His forgiveness and forgive ourselves and forgive others. This is exactly why we should take this to Him, take ourselves to Him. This is exactly why we should surrender to Him and tell it all and say it all, because He is our refuge. He is our refuge. He is the only one that can deliver us from this kind of hurt, this kind of enslavement, this kind of mental, emotional, and physical prison that we so often find ourselves in this 3D reality. He is the only one that can take our soul and cut the confusion and the doubt and the hurt from it and transform it into a soul that is full of love and is full of joy and lives this life as this ball of light and wisdom and expansion. He is the only one. His sword is the only one that can cut off who we think we are and who we used to be, and become really who we know we are inside, and become really who we know we're meant to be. It is not scary to go to God in vulnerability. It is not scary to surrender to God in fear that He will find something wicked. This is why we go to Him, so He can find it, so He can show it to us, so He can pull it out and cut it off, and we can move forward. God is our refuge. He is our refuge, our place of refuge, our place of healing, our place of redemption, our place of deliverance. As He forgives, as we accept that forgiveness, as we accept that forgiveness for ourselves and for others, we are delivered from enslavement. We are transformed mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. We are transformed. We are delivered from enslavement, and we are not held bondage to the things that we've done and to the things that have been done to us. And I think our only mistake in the whole thing is believing that no matter what we do, no matter what we say, no matter what happens, we will always be held bondage to those things. That is the only mistake we make, and really it's just another form of deception. You are not to be held captive to the things of your past. You are not to be held captive to the person that you used to be, to the person that you think you are. You are not to be held captive to such a hurt version of you. You are not to be held captive to that. The sword has come to cut that away from you. That is not who you are. That is not who you are. Your past, your mistakes, your hurt, that is not who you are. That's not who you are. God does not see you that way at all. At all. That is not who you are. Surrender. Surrender. Accept that forgiveness. Dole it out everywhere. Receive your deliverance and go be the beautiful, wonderful, respectable, divine being that you are. Man. Wow. You are the member of creation most like the Maker himself. And if you think for a moment that he didn't put this amazing sense of purpose, this amazing purpose, this amazing life and joy and gratitude within you, I say with love that you do not understand who you are, because you do not understand your Maker. Go get deliverance from that sort of prison, person of God. Your mask is not you, and you know, because you take it off every day and then you put it back on every day. Your mask is not you. Your hurt is not you. But your unwillingness to accept forgiveness for yourself and others is keeping you bound to those things. And I know that that's not who you are. I know that that's not what you want. I know that you're dying to be someone other than the hurt version that you know yourself to be. I know that you are begging for this kind of freedom and liberation and expansion at every moment of every day. I know that you are aware that the current version of yourself that feels so incomplete and like a piece is missing. I know that you are aware that is not the highest version of you. And I'm here to tell you that in order to let go of that version and step into the next version, you must go and surrender before the Maker of the universe and accept forgiveness for yourself and others before you can be delivered from the current place of enslavement with which you stand. It is available to you. It is a gift to you. The door is always open for you. There is nothing that can stand between you and the Maker of the universe. Nothing. That's already been repaired. You're good. You just got to go and open the door up. You just got to go and knock. You just got to go and ask. You got to pick up the phone. You got to answer it. You got to dial the number. Go and find out who you are so you can become that.